I want to tell you about a recent experience I had when I was looking for something to say. And not that it's ever been an occupational deficiency, but I was in the shower, and of course, showers not only get you wet, but they provide inspiration. And I thought of the parable of 4 oracles. And so I consulted these oracles to ask, what is the purpose of life? And first I went to a Calvinist Protestant oracle. And I said, "Oh, Calvinist Protestant oracle, what is the purpose of life?" And the classical Calvinist oracle replied, "Doing." Well, so then I said, I've got to go on. It doesn't quite complete my quest. So I visited the Buddhist oracle. And I said, "Oh, great Buddhist oracle, what is the basic purpose of life?" And the Buddhist oracle paused not a second and said, "Being." Oh, I rather like that. Then I went to the superhedonist oracle. And I said, "Superhedonist oracle, what is the basic purpose of life?" And the superhedonist oracle replied, "New York Super French Chunk with Cherry Garcia Chase." This was a Vermont-based oracle. And then, on a more serious note, I went to the progressive education oracle. And I said, "Oh, great progressive education oracle, what is the purpose of life?" And here I hit it. Transformation. Transformation. I dig that. I think of the Werner Jaeger's great book on paideia, on the ideal of education in classical life. And the idea of education is constant self-renewal. That kind of transformation, development, evolution. And so I'd like to spend a moment now on why progressive, learner-centered education truly matters. Number one, we need to think independently, not endure mere training or mere workforce preparation. I'm not putting those down, but that alone is not progressive education. Secondly, we need to get beyond passive acquiescence to robust criticism in our society and be ready to holler at the emperor, or, as it were, the president has no clothes. Thirdly, along with Gramsci, the great Italian social theorist, slapped under house arrest by Mussolini for his troubles, we have to engage in a kind of intellectual, emotional jujitsu. Oh, by the way, the psychobabble psychologist will disagree with the next sentence or two. I think there's a contradiction in life between pessimism of the intellect. We just know so many things, and so many things are awry. Things are out of joint. So pessimism of the intellect as contrasted with optimism of the will. I think we have to somehow juggle both of those stances, both of those responses to the challenges we face, and I'm going to suggest that progressive education helps us to do that, jujitsu, that balancing act. Fourthly, I think progressive education reminds us, along with Emily Dickinson, that we have to allow ourselves, despite all the ambiguities and the grievances of life, to dwell in possibility, to acknowledge the immense power of the as yet unseen and undreamt of. And I think that progressive education, because it envisages this kind of endless process of transformation, begins to equip us for this preparation to dwell in possibility. And then I think the other wonderful aspect of progressive education is that it's not primarily a credential operation. Rather, it's a process that reminds the biophilic in us, the life-loving in us, the soulfulness in us of the better possibilities of our place in history. To paraphrase Howard Zinn, he talks about the great 19th century reformers, the anti-slavery reformers, the abolitionists, the women's rights reformers of 1848, the Seneca Falls Convention. He talks about the great anti-slavery crusades. He talks about the anti-imperialists of the 1898-1902 period after the Spanish-American War. As William Lloyd Garrison once said, nothing happens without agitation. Agitation is an essential prologue to progress. We must relish and revere the mischief makers, the agitators, those who would upset the status quo, which very much needs, in many instances, upsetting. Well, I would suggest that because we're not primarily a credential offering process, although we do offer the credentials, and it's right that we do so, and well meet that we do so, and crucial that we do so. But the joy is we don't begin or end there. It's the credential plus. And I think that progressive education states that we're not separate atoms, we're all in this together. It's kind of an ecological perspective. It's not kind of an ecological perspective, it is an ecological perspective. That we're not going to victimize people by forcing them to endure a rigid and prescribed curriculum, one size fits all. We are not going to construct and organize an educational experience and process that is directed from above as glaring fluorescent lights down upon the victim population. But rather, and here's where I get about as Protestant as I ever get, liberal Protestant, ultra-liberal Protestant. I would make the claim that progressive education at its best in its nature facilitates and provokes and stimulates and teases and cherishes and supports our educational journey. And that educational journey is very similar to the kind of faith pilgrimage that the great John Bunyan wrote about centuries ago, Pilgrim's Progress. The educational journey and the pilgrimage seem to me remarkably parallel. You all, as learners and as soon-to-be graduates, have weathered what Bunyan calls the slough of despond and disappointment where all the fears run down together. You have survived the hollow materialist temptations of Vanity Fair, and if you want to know where it is, look outside. You have now approached the outskirts of the great celestial city, in this case of graduation, and the culmination of this stage in your life's journey. And now, just as in the instance of the pilgrim in Bunyan's marvelous story, you can now anticipate that once you have crossed over, all the trumpets will sound for you on the other side. What a magnificent image. If you remember Pilgrim's Progress, as Christian crosses over, all the trumpets sounded for him on the other side. Well, my friends, the trumpets are ready.